There is a place inside you that the world has never touched. Not the disappointments, not the criticism, not the years of beliefs that told you who you should be, how you should feel, what you should fear. None of that reached there. Because this place is deeper than anything that ever came from outside. It is quiet there. It is whole, and it is waiting with a patience that only the eternal has for you to finally stop long enough to find it. Most of us spend our entire lives searching outside for what only exists inside. We search in the right relationship, in recognition, in achievement, in the next step that will finally make everything make sense. We search in everything and everyone, except ourselves, because we were taught in subtle and direct ways that the answers were out there, that God was out there, that peace was out there, that healing was out there. But what if it never was? What if everything you always searched for was already here, in this quiet and whole place that has existed inside you since before you had words to describe it? There is a wisdom that doesn't come from books. It doesn't come from courses, from religion, from gurus, from the internet. It simply arrives in a quiet moment, in a soft voice that speaks deeper than thought, and says something you recognize before you understand it. Something that resonates not in the mind, but in the center of the chest. Something that feels like memory, not like news. You have felt this. That silent certainty that arrived before it had an explanation, that internal guidance that, when you followed it, took you exactly where you needed to go. That part of you that knew, even when everything around you said otherwise, that there was something greater, something truer, something the restless mind couldn't see, but silence revealed with perfect clarity. This is not imagination. This is your deepest self speaking. Some people call it intuition. Others call it the higher self. Others call it the part of God that lives within us, that golden spark that doesn't go out, that doesn't age, that was never touched by any of the pain that life brought. That is there, steady and luminous, at the center of everything you are. The name doesn't matter so much. What matters is that this place exists, and that you have access to it. You always have. The problem is that the mind makes a lot of noise. It narrates, it judges, it compares, it fears, it plans, it relives the past and anticipates the future. And it does all of this simultaneously, without stopping, from the moment you wake until the moment you finally surrender to sleep. And in that constant noise, the deepest voice, the most true, the most wise gets covered. It doesn't disappear, it never disappears, but it becomes hard to hear when everything around it is shouting. That is why silence is sacred. Not silence as the absence of sound, internal silence, the kind you create when you choose to stop. When you choose, even for a few minutes, not to feed the noise, not to check, not to respond, not to produce, not to solve, just to be, just to breathe and descend, below the thoughts, below the emotions, below everything that changes and fluctuates and worries, to the place that doesn't change. In that place, something happens. The clarity you were searching for arrives, not as a loud answer, but as a quiet recognition. The healing you were seeking begins, not from outside in, but from inside out, as it always was the natural order of things. The peace that seemed to depend on external circumstances reveals itself as something that was always available, waiting only for you to stop looking somewhere else. Children know this instinctively. They fight and forget. They cry and smile. They don't hold on. They don't accumulate. They don't carry the weight of everything that was said and done years ago. They live close to the surface of experience, present, open, without the thick layer of stories and interpretations that adults build over the years. And we, in growing up, moved away from that. We learned to hold on, to protect, to build walls that would protect us from being hurt again. And those walls worked, to a point, but they also separated us from ourselves, from our own center, from the quiet place where life makes sense without needing explanation. And the body keeps everything the mind doesn't process. Every suppressed emotion finds a place in the body to live. Every unfelt pain becomes tension, becomes illness, becomes that feeling of carrying something heavy that you can't identify but can't put down. The body is wise. It keeps what the mind avoids, hoping that one day you will come back for it. Healing begins when you come back, when you stop running from your own interior and begin, with gentleness, to look at what is there. Not to judge yourself, not to fix yourself, but to finally see, with compassion, with presence, with the same tenderness you would offer a child who is afraid. Because there is a child inside. There is a part of you that got stuck in a difficult moment, waiting for someone to come back, waiting for someone to say, I see you, I hear you. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. You can be that person. You can go back. You can descend into the silence of your own being and find there not the emptiness you feared, but the fullness that always existed, the wisdom that needed no external source to reach you, the spark that no difficulty could extinguish. The exterior reflects the interior, always, not as punishment, not as reward, as natural reflection, like the quiet surface of a lake that shows exactly the sky above it. When the interior is agitated, the exterior seems hostile. When the interior finds peace, the same exterior seems different, not because it changed, but because the eyes that see it have changed. This is not theory. It is the experience of someone who one day stopped searching outside and had the courage to look within. It is the physics of the invisible, what science is only beginning to name, and the heart always knew. It is the simplest and most forgotten truth in the world. Everything begins here, in the silence of yourself, in that quiet, whole, and golden place that exists inside you, that always existed, and that is waiting with all the patience of the eternal for you to finally come home. You don't need to go anywhere. You just need to stop, breathe, and descend. What you always searched for is here. It always was.